quick. I don't think there's a major panic. I would label it minor concern, but obviously with the Juwan Johnson move, they scratching their heads a little bit. There's a little bit of a depth issue. Let's look at it from a long-term perspective, though, because after this year, Garrett Nussmeier has no Moss eligibility. He'll be gone. The obvious choice and who's going to be the heir apparent, Michael Van Buren Jr., 3 years of eligibility left. Just to give you a brief overview of him, I think he's really mobile. I think he's a great quarterback. I think him sitting out a year is going to be the most beneficial aspect. You can kind of pretend LSU drafted a damn quarterback here. They have a veteran kind of teaching him, showing him the ropes, and he's going to inevitably get his chance. He's shown flashes. I mean, Blake Shapen got hurt at Mississippi State, and he was able to get in. He played against Georgia. He had a damn good game. Georgia was pretty banged up, but he threw for 306 yards, 3 touchdowns, and only lost 31-41. I mean, that's pretty damn good because if LSU played Georgia, I don't think it'd be a 10-point spread. I do want to ask this question, though. Like, there's a variety of things that can happen here. Naturally, what the more obvious ones are is they're probably going to portal in one more guy, potentially, I think, depending on how this goes. But it just makes the most sense, especially from a depth standpoint. So I'd imagine you portal in one more guy. Then from the recruiting standpoint, right now, you don't have any quarterback commits. The top 10 quarterbacks, half of them are already committed. But this is one of those things where it's like, do you really want to go down that path again and get an early commitment, watch them flip? And you just don't know at the end of the day. You don't know until the damn day of. Until signing day, you do not know. So is this a new approach? Are they waiting? It's kind of hard to tell. I wouldn't be nervous from a lack of commitment standpoint just because of that recruiting change. I think that doesn't really mean much in a sense where, we're 6, 7, 8 months out even. Got a lot of time left. However, I do want to bring up the fact that there is an obvious trend. And I mean, in college football, you're really not going to be able to stop this trend. There's a abundance of opportunities, and there's really a lack of people with the personalities of a Garrett Nussmeier, of a Carson Beck, of a even Arch Manning. I mean, some people just want to play now. And LSU's had a lot of top quarterbacks that could have potentially been the future, whether it be Walker Howard, whether it be Ricky Collins. I just think now you do have to keep the focus on keeping Colin Hurley. If Colin Hurley doesn't get the job like he probably was envisioning, and you got to roll in and potentially get in a new guy, and you lose 3 of your younger quarterbacks consecutively, I feel like there's a leak in the room. I feel like there's an issue. And like I said, this is college football now. I get it. The NIL world's hard to compete with. You got people paying backups, and now the SEC doesn't have their, professional depth as they used to. But there's obviously something you can do to probably alleviate this, because I think 3 in a row here would be an issue. Colin Hurley, you got to keep him at LSU. I think that's really the best case scenario for them in this situation. Michael Van Buren's a really good quarterback. I think he could be the guy. But at the end of the day, after his first year, he's only got 2 more years left on a perfect situation. He could play 2 years at LSU and not even do the last year of eligibility. And now LSU's got to build again after 2 seasons for another quarterback of the future. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. And like I said, from a commitment standpoint, you're not going to see any major moves until the end of the summer, middle of the season, like really, really, really close until early signing day, because there's just no point. Why go get an early commitment and watch them flip because someone quadrupled your NIL deal? It's a tough world to live in, and I feel like that's going to be a double-edged sword for them, because it's kind of tough in terms of getting the depth already, and then it's going to be tough in terms of keeping it, because you've already had trouble keeping it. And I mean, it's going to be one of your biggest areas of focus. And naturally, with the revenue sharing and all the different departures, LSU is going to have a lot of, openings. But I don't know. There's going to have to be a new approach for sure in terms of keeping it here, because I would label this an area of minor concern.